Here we go again, with Christmas on the horizon, a holiday that should be a time for families to put the past behind them and look towards the future. A new variant of the virus has seemingly been dispatched from poor old Africa as the gift no one asked for and no one wants. After months of messages of fear from our governments and their favoured scientists, here comes more of the same. We can only presume that too many of us were seen to be awakening from the toxic trance into which we had been put by propaganda from the nudge unit. Fear has been the key to nearly 2 years of unprecedented power for politicians and their scientists. Fear has also blinded people to the reality of manipulation and mass hypnosis used to make them and to keep them compliant. But with that fear on the wane, losing its power to do harm, much like the virus was losing its power, it was plainly time to cast another spell. And here it is, in the form of yet another variant. How timely. Someone even managed to sprinkle for a while the acronym HIV over this latest mutation, like bitter icing on a stale cake. While our government, like so many governments around the world, seeks to eat yet more months, perhaps more years, out of the worn-out pandemic by replaying their greatest hits of last year, something else is becoming obvious, and it's that the virus seemingly had the power to stop people, including clever people, from thinking for themselves. COVID overcame logic, reason, and common sense. COVID even made some scientists unlearn science. Throw another variant into the mix, as they have done, and now more and more people, folk wanting only the peace to go about the business of their lives, would be forgiven for wondering which way is up. Because, with science unlearned, or at least set aside, it's apparent to anyone with their eyes open that those scientists and doctors have got themselves into a proper tangle now. I hardly know where to begin to list all of the apparent confusion. In no particular order, I've heard it said today that the new variant might sidestep the vaccines and that it's therefore vital for everyone to get their booster shot. How does that work? The vaccines might not stop this variant, so take more vaccine. Some scientists and doctors are saying now that maybe they vaccinated too many people too quickly in some parts of the world, while not vaccinating enough people in other places, like the African continent. Apparently, and I think I have this right, this has forced the virus to act like any species under pressure, in that those mutations best able to cope with the new, tougher conditions, by being more transmissible perhaps, are coming to the fore. Survival of the fittest and all that. I'm sure it was at least rumoured at first that the new variant, the Botswana variant or Omicron, wasn't he a transformer, or whatever they're calling it now, had sprung from unvaccinated people. Now I read that no, all 4 confirmed cases were fully vaccinated, so that it becomes clear that mutations, more dangerous or not, are just as likely to come from the fully jabbed. And don't get me started on natural immunity, which is what you have if you've had COVID and got over it with only your immune system for company. Because while one scientist says it's the best option, others say it counts for naught, and that the only way is to roll up your sleeve for the 3rd time, or the 4th, or the 5th. Let me put it this way. For a while there, those scientists given the spotlight and the microphone had a good go at driving a single narrative. It almost made sense for a while, in a twisted, not quite right, something funny going on there sort of way. Not anymore though. Now the cracks are starting to show, the wheels coming off the state-sponsored wagon. I've said all along that this would prove, when all was said and done, to be a tragic lesson in the hubris of some humans, the sort that wear white coats or that like to give press conferences, which is to say, overconfidence from those that said they had all the answers and that everyone else should just shut up and do what they're told. As the months go by, hubris seems more and more like the explanation for so much that has gone awry. But enough about the virus, whatever it is, wherever it came from and whatever it's doing right now while I speak. Tragically, this process of unlearning science, forgetting, replacing true with false, did not begin with COVID-19. Strange to say, COVID is just a symptom of something much more dangerous, and that's the deliberate dismantling of so much that our ancestors learned and built and handed on to us in trust. It enabled an acceleration of something we really should have been aware of for years, the taking apart of so much of the world of science and reason and enlightenment by those who might have been expected and trusted to be its inheritors.